Welcome back to another episode of the Parking Lot Preview. I'm Mike Maynard alongside Matt Coates. We're back here today. Beautiful, beautiful out today. We've been waiting for one of these days. Been a couple days of some rough weather here and there, but we're back here at McKeon Park, looking around. I don't see any clouds. Oh, some over there.
Yeah, there's clouds.
They're very light.
Do you remember what kind of clouds those are?
No,
I don't.
they're like white.
The wispy ones. I forget what those are called.
White and wispy. If you know, leave a comment down below. Let us know what the clouds those are. Not that you can see them. But anyways, we're back here for another parking lot preview. Traveling to Brewster today for a game against the Whitecaps. We haven't seen in a little bit. Haven't been to Brewster for a while. But a team that need to beat, hopefully, tonight for the Harbor Hawks. Now, we got an interesting matchup here. The Brewster Whitecaps, not necessarily where they want to be in the standings. Hyannis also not where they want to be in the standings. But both teams looking like they'll make the playoffs. Should be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, Mike. Third in the West versus third in the East today. With some record discrepancy, though. Hyannis 18-13-1 record. Brewster 12-19 record. You mentioned it's been a while since we traveled over to Stony Brook Field to take on the Whitecaps. Last time, Mike, almost a month to the date.
Wow.
That was today, Friday the 26th. June 29th, we went there. You know what day that was, Mike?
A Friday?
I'm not sure, but it was Blake Cavill and Jackson West debut day. Both players phenomenal. I believe Jackson had 4 hits in that game. Blake Cavill had the homer in his first at-bat. So, really, not a critical game in the Hyannis Harbor Hawk season, but a noteworthy game. 2 new guys come in, shine right away, give us a big victory. Going back almost a month later, hopefully a similar result, Mike.
Hopefully a similar result. Got a similar result last night. We were here in Hyannis. A little bit of an interesting game. Rain delayed the game for about 45 minutes, and then a lot of runs getting scored in the early innings. But Hyannis ends up coming away with a win, 7-5 over the Orleans Firebirds. What impressed you out of that game last night?
Mike, what impressed me was the fact that it was a complete victory for the Harbor Hawks. We were at a point where it didn't matter who we were playing. Orleans Firebirds, obviously not near the top of the standings, but a win is a win at this point in the season. A 7-5 victory against the Firebirds. Over the past week, this offense has been struggling a little bit. They came through in a big way, put up 7 runs, especially after the team went down 2-0 in the top of the first inning. I'm not going to lie to you, Mike. I was sitting there watching that, and I was like, uh-oh. A little gulp there at the beginning of that game, because that's obviously not how you want to start the game. And knowing our offense was struggling, I was a little bit worried about having to come back. But they responded right away, bottom of the first. Manufactured runs, Mike, doing Harbor Hawk things, getting guys on base, moving over, sacrifice attempts, coming home on ground balls, things of that nature. Eventually came away with a 7-5 victory. Surprisingly, Mike, first win in 4 days. Surprising when you think about how successful this team has been. I asked Mitch Carriger about that after the game. He said, it feels so good to get back in the win column. These guys deserve it. They work hard every single day. Huge for momentum going forward.
Hopefully that momentum can continue into tonight's game. But you mentioned it. We saw some vintage Harbor Hawks baseball last night, which was really good to see. A lot of small ball where you're using speed, using those guys' ability to lay down bunts and work ground balls, find holes, and manufacture some runs, as you mentioned. So definitely a good thing to see from the Harbor Hawks. Definitely, hopefully, inspiring for the future to show, okay, we can get back to where we were. Had a little rough patch, but we're moving past that. And again, hopefully the momentum can continue into tonight. For Brewster, though, they're looking to flip their momentum around. They're reeling off 2 losses in a row.
Yeah, Mike, 2 straight losses, and this last one is a game they can completely wipe out of their memory. It's a 2-1 loss to the Harwich Mariners. Guys, if you've been following the Cape League closely, you know the Harwich Mariners are in the midst of a very tough stretch right now. I believe lost, what, is it like 15 of 17, something along those lines.
It was something like that.
Yeah. It was a pretty tough stretch for them. Big win for the Mariners, but a tough loss for the Whitecaps there. We talk about it all the time, Mike. If your pitching staff only allows 2 runs in a Cape Cod Baseball League game, you expect to win that game. Unfortunately, your offense only puts up 1 run. You take a loss to the team over the past 10 games who's been the worst in the Cape League. That's got to hurt a little bit. Out of the bullpen, Parker Detmers absolutely shined for them. 4 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, 5 strikeouts. He was phenomenal in the back half. Their starter gave up the 2 runs. It was a tough loss overall for them, making it 2 in a row. They're going to look to turn things around as they're hunting towards playoff momentum, but they have the Harbor Hawks in their way.
Definitely going to be a tough matchup for those Whitecaps tonight. A team, like we mentioned, has that momentum off a win. And, we forgot to mention Jackson West. You talked
Yep.
about his game against Brewster last time. Last night was eerily similar to that.
Mhm.
5 for 5, 2 RBIs for Mr. West. Great game for him. Hopefully that momentum. He played in 2 runs of his own. Brewster couldn't even do that last night. So hopefully he can continue his success tonight. But, like I said, Brewster, definitely a tough matchup. Unable to beat the Harwich Mariners last night, but an even tougher opponent really on paper
Mhm.
against the Harbor Hawks here tonight. Should be an interesting one, but that all comes down to pitching.
Yep.
You mentioned it, 2-1 game for Brewster last night, not able to get runs going. Blaine Wink is going to try to replicate what the Harwich Mariners did last night because he is on the mound for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks tonight, the 6'3" right-handed pitcher out of Ohio State. Matt, he's had a lot of experience on Cape so far, over 20 innings pitched. How's he been looking?
Mike, he's been a phenomenal pitcher. My favorite thing about him is he's a guy that's not going to dazzle you in the box score. He's been here for over 20 innings, which makes him a Cape veteran, as we've mentioned so far this season. 3.05 ERA, 17 Ks, 7 walks, and 16 hits allowed. There's nothing super high and nothing super low in that stat column. However, he goes out and he gets outs every game. Over his last start here at McKeon Park, he did not light up the Ks, but he trusted his defense. Infield got ground balls, got flyouts, he's just an out getter. He doesn't need to punch guys out. And I like those type of pitchers because if your A pitch isn't working or you're not getting the movement you want on your breaking balls, it's not the end of the world because you're not relying on punching out 6 guys a game to get through a couple innings. When you can trust your defense, night in and night out, we know what we're going to get out of you. And so I think that's what makes Blaine Wink such a trusted member of this rotation for Mitch Carriger and the rest of the staff, because every time he goes out there, he gets outs, period.
100%. Getting outs is really all that matters here. He's been, if you want one word to describe Blaine Wink, I would say it's probably consistent.
Mm-hmm.
He's been consistently successful in every outing he's had. He hasn't really had one bad outing or one phenomenal outing necessarily, but he's coming in and day out, allowing a small amount of runs and just really getting outs, like you mentioned. And trusting that defense, we've seen a lot of success in that mindset from these pitchers because obviously that defense for the Harbor Hawks has had a lot of success to start this year and over the course of the summer to this point. So trusting that defense, making your infield and outfield make plays for you, it's been working out for Blaine Wink. It's been working out for the pitching staff as a whole. So definitely looking to continue that for him tonight. You mentioned it though, 20.2 innings pitched. That's second on the team. He's obviously a very trusted arm by Coach Carricker. Trusted in an important matchup tonight to hopefully get a win and continue momentum with a road game, which we always mention it. The Harbor Hawks have really not had a lot of success on the road. So it'd be a good one to win tonight against Brewster Whitecaps. But for Brewster, on the mound, Jacob Marlowe, 6 foot left-handed pitcher from Florida State. Now, Matt, I'm not going to say you're a Seminoles fan, but you really like these Harbor Hawk Seminoles. Tell me about Jacob Marlowe and what we're here for, or what we're going to expect from him tonight.
I'm a big fan of the Seminole program, especially when they send their amazing players to Hyannis, which they've done so much over the past 2 years. Cam Smith, Jamie Arnold, Alex Lodice, and Jackson West, the leadoff man himself, apparently. So I love that Seminoles program. Going against a Seminole, really conflicting for me, Mike. You look at Jacob Marlowe, he didn't pitch at Florida State this past year, so I'm not sure I can say Jackson West is going to have him in the familiarity aspect. As a catcher, though, I'm sure he knows his arsenal a little bit. So if we see West in that lineup, I have a feeling he'll get some early success. I know he's feeling good after last night's performance. But so far on Cape, 8 2/3 innings pitched in 6 appearances with no starts, Mike. This will be his first start on Cape. Very late in the year to make your first start. Obviously, that leads to a different approach pregame, a different mentality, mindset when you know you're going right from the jump versus coming onto the bullpen, staying hot, getting ready later in the game. As we get a little camera shake going on here. Hopefully, you guys are bearing with us.
Windy day, folks. Sorry about that.
But over those 6 appearances, Mike, just over a 3.0 ERA with 8 strikeouts, only 1 walk, but 14 hits allowed. So, you know what that tells me? He's going to attack the zone. But giving up 14 hits and only a 3.1 ERA, he's clearly been very good at settling down once he gets pressure on the base paths. So that whip is going to be a little bit higher than he wants, but that ERA is exactly where he wants it. So this Harbor Hawks team needs to do a good job of pressing opposing pitchers like they can do so well. Once you get on base, you can't take your foot off the pedal because he is used to getting out of difficult situations. Hopefully tonight, we could put him in situations he can't get out of.
100%. And we talk about it all the time. Timely hitting is super important. It's been an important thing for these Harbor Hawks here. But I think we mentioned it earlier, that speed and that small ball aspect of this Harbor Hawks lineup, that they have success with that, should play benefit tonight, because Jacob Marlowe does allow base runners. That allows you to get guys on at a high rate, maybe not walks, but getting hits, getting on base, and then moving those guys over, and hopefully bringing them around third base and into home plate. So it'll be an interesting matchup. You mentioned it. He hasn't pitched at school, but he did pitch last year, played summer ball last year, and pitched last year. So he's not new to this. He's got experience, but only eight and 2/3 so far on Cape. No starts, as you mentioned. Different preparation goes into that, as we always mention. So should be interesting. We'll see what Jacob Marlowe has going for him tonight. But we got to take player of the game picks right now. If you'd like to start us off, by all means.
Sure, I'll start us off. I would love to ride the hot hand in Jackson West, a Seminole, as you guys know I love, but I'm going to move in an opposite direction from that. Not sure he'll be in the lineup tonight. Caught last night. Maybe he'll get the off night. So I'm going to pick another catcher, a guy who found himself in the lineup as a designated hitter last night, a national championship in Cannon Peebles. I believe it was an RBI single, Mike, but he had a single right up the middle, right over second base, 101 exit velocity. At the plate, I don't think Cannon's gotten to the start he wants to in a Harbor Hawks uniform, but I think that hit last night is something to build off of. Something to give yourself positive reinforcement off of, say, I belong here, I can do well in this Wood Bat League, I belong against these guys. And I think he's going to feel that, think that, and have his approach with that, and go out and have a very good game on the road against the Whitecaps, helping lead the Hawks to victory.
Love that pick. It's tough with these catchers. Obviously, all of them have had a good amount of success, different points throughout the summer so far. And you got two national champions. You got Jackson West, who's had games where he's getting 5 hits. It's tough to pick, but I like the Cannon People's pick tonight. I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go with a new guy. I went with a new guy yesterday. I'm going to go with a different new guy and a different Eddie. That's going to be Eddie Saldivar from Fresno State. Got his first game as a Harbor Hawk last night. Coming down to the wire here, it's rare that we see guys starting their summers this late in the summer. But Eddie got his first start last night, had a good amount of success, got on base. And I think that he's in for a big game tonight. Talked to him after the game last night. He was super excited to be here. Couldn't believe that he got the call this late in the summer. Was just happy to have a chance. He did play with Falmouth. I believe it was either in 2023 or 2022.
I think
possibly.
2022.
Yeah. So he does have the experience on Cape. He's not new to this. There shouldn't be too many nerves or anything like that. He seemed pretty locked in, pretty dialed at the plate. And I think he's in for a big game tonight. Look for him to hopefully get on base a few times. That would be great. Maybe driving some runs. Maybe score some runs. That's all that really matters here. We're looking for runs on the board. So anyways, Eddie Saldivar, book it, Fresno State, and Cannon Peoples. Those are your player of the games. We're going to go into a score prediction. That's going to be a tough one, Matt. You prepared? You ready?
I am prepared.
Okay.
3-0 against this Brewster Whitecaps team this season. Not sure I mentioned that earlier. So we've had success. Looking for the season sweep tonight, Mike. Season series sweep, excuse me. In each of those games, Harbor Hawks have been successful offensively. Pitching has varied. Some games where we've shut them down, some games where it's been very close. I think the offense is going to continue to shine tonight. And we're going to win the game 10-2.
10-2. Wow. I like that. I like the confidence. This Harbor Hawks lineup did get things going last night. Pitching's been great as of late as well, so I love that. I'm going to say it's going to be a little closer than that. I'm going to agree with you that a lot of runs will be put up by these Harbor Hawks. I'm going to say 9 runs for Hyannis. I'm going to say 5.
Okay.
I'm going to give Brewster 5. This lineup obviously struggled last night against Harwich, only putting up 1 run. I think they're going to bounce back and have a little bit of, that, man, we got to get things going mentality before the playoffs here. I think they'll put up 5, but I think this Harbor Hawks lineup is going to outscore the Whitecaps. And I think Blaine Wink on the mound. Yep. You're looking for a low-scoring start, low-scoring game overall for the Whitecaps. But 5, you can get away with 5 as long as you're putting up runs. So 9-5 Harbor Hawks or 10-2. Either way, it's a win. Love to hear that. Anyways, come on down to Brewster if you can. It's a beautiful day. I think it's going to be around 76 degrees and sunny.
Why not?
Around game time. Don't quote me on that. But anyways, it's beautiful. Come on down. If you can't, check us out here on YouTube or Cape League TV. Check out the broadcast on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network. We appreciate you so much for watching. Thank you as always. We hope you have a great rest of your evening, whatever you end up doing. We'll see you next time.
Go Hawks.